The Watcher's Burden. The quantum streams of consciousness that made up Lyra's form pulsed with anxiety as she observed the massive holographic display before her. Earth's surface temperature readings were all wrong. Again. This was the third anomalous pattern she detected this cycle, and it didn't match any of the natural recovery models the Araxian Collective had been monitoring for the past millennium. Elder Voss, she called out, her energy form dimming slightly in deference to the ancient being who materialized beside her. The atmospheric carbon sequestration rates have dropped by another 0.03% in Sector 7. That's the third deviation this month. The Elder's form, an intricate weave of plasma and light that had existed for over 10,000 years, shifted through various spectrums as it analyzed the data. Your dedication to detail is admirable, young one, Voss responded, their tone carrying the weight of millennia. But remember our prime directive. We observe, we do not interfere. Lyra's form flickered with frustration. But the recovery protocols are failing. The environmental parameters that humanity established for their awakening are being pushed further out of reach. This isn't natural degradation. The great halls of the observation nexus hummed with the combined consciousness of hundreds of Araxians, all dedicated to their sacred duty. For over 1,000 years, they had watched over humanity's self-imposed exile, honoring the ancient pact made when humans chose to enter their great sleep. Lyra moved through the quantum space to another monitoring station, pulling up historical data streams. The images showed the final days before humanity's great slumber, cities being sealed, vast underground bunkers activated, and billions of humans voluntarily entering suspended animation. They had known their planet was dying, but rather than flee to the stars as so many had expected, they chose to sleep, allowing Earth the time it needed to heal. You weren't there when they made their choice, Elder Voss said, sensing Lyra's thoughts. Their leaders approached the Galactic Council with a plan so audacious it left even our oldest members speechless. They had developed a form of suspended animation that would allow them to preserve not just their bodies, but the collective knowledge and consciousness of their entire species. I studied the historical records, Lyra responded, her form brightening with passion. They could have evacuated, could have sought asylum on 100 different worlds, but they chose to stay, to sleep, to give their planet time to recover naturally rather than risk damaging it further with aggressive terraforming. The holographic displays showed the current state of Earth's major population centers, vast underground complexes where billions of humans slept in their sophisticated stasis chambers. Each facility was a masterpiece of engineering, designed to maintain itself for thousands of years while its occupants waited for the precise environmental conditions that would trigger their awakening. But Lyra had noticed something else in her observations, something she hadn't yet shared with the elders. The humans weren't just sleeping, they were changing. The quantum readings from their stasis pods showed subtle but unmistakable signs of neural evolution. Their minds, even in suspended animation, were somehow still active, still processing, still growing. She brought up another display, this one showing a small section of the Australian outback. Look at these soil composition readings, she said. The regeneration rates dropped precisely 0.03%, exactly like Sector 7, at exactly the same time. That's not natural variation. Elder Voss's form shifted closer to the display, their energy patterns showing the first signs of concern Lyra had ever witnessed in them. You believe someone is interfering. I believe someone is deliberately preventing Earth's recovery, Lyra stated, her form pulsing with conviction. The patterns are too precise, too coordinated. Someone doesn't want humanity to wake up. The elder was silent for a long moment, their form cycling through deep ultraviolet frequencies, a sign of deep contemplation among their kind. These are serious allegations, young one. The consequences of interfering with a species' voluntary suspension are severe under galactic law. Do you have evidence? Lyra quickly brought up more displays, showing similar patterns across different continents, different ecosystems. The deviations all began approximately 50 years ago. They're subtle enough to appear natural if you look at each one individually, but when you analyze the global pattern, she merged the data streams into a single comprehensive model, revealing a clear artificial signature. Elder Voss's form suddenly contracted, the equivalent of a sharp intake of breath among their kind. This bears the mark of Nexer technology, they said, their tone grave. But why would the consortium risk breaking galactic law? They've always been opportunistic, but this? Because they're afraid, Lyra said, her form brightening with sudden understanding. The historical records show how quickly humans advance before their sleep. In just a few thousand years, they went from primitive tool users to a species capable of developing technology that could preserve billions in suspended animation indefinitely. The Nexar must have realized that if humans wake up naturally, with their world fully healed, they would be unstoppable, Voss finished. A species that chose to sleep for millennia rather than harm their world, that developed ways to preserve not just their bodies but their minds through thousands of years of dormancy. The Nexar fear what humanity might become when they awaken. Lyra's form pulsed with determination. We have to do something. Our duty is to watch, yes, but surely that includes protecting them from direct interference. The Nexar are violating the very principles we're sworn to uphold. Elder Voss's form shifted through several spectrums rapidly, a sign of internal conflict. We cannot directly intervene. The laws that bind us are absolute, but their form brightened slightly. Perhaps it is time to test the emergency protocols humanity left us with. The awakening triggers. Lyra's form flickered with surprise, but the environmental parameters haven't been met. No, Voss agreed, but the protocols include provisions for premature awakening in case of external threats. Humanity, in their wisdom, knew they might need to be roused if their sleep was endangered. They trusted us with that responsibility. Lyra's form brightened with hope, then dimmed with concern. But who would we wake? We can't activate all the stasis chambers. The planet still isn't ready to support the full population. No, Elder Voss agreed, their form now showing the complex patterns that indicated a plan forming. But perhaps we don't need to wake them all. Humanity left us with the ability to selectively activate specific stasis chambers. We could wake their leaders, their brightest minds, just enough to give them a chance to defend themselves. As they spoke, new alerts began flashing across the quantum displays. The Nexar interference was accelerating, becoming less subtle. They were running out of time. Do it, Elder Voss commanded, their form now radiating authority. Wake them, Lyra. Wake humanity's guardians. And may the universe forgive us for what we're about to unleash. Lyra moved to the central control nexus, her form steady despite the enormity of what she was about to do. As she began the awakening sequence for the carefully selected stasis chambers, she couldn't help but wonder, what would these humans be like after their long sleep? And more importantly, would they be ready for the fight that awaited them? The quantum displays began to pulse with new energy signatures as the first stasis pods began their activation sequences. Humanity's long night was about to end, and a new dawn was about to break over Earth, whether the galaxy was ready for it or not. The Awakening Protocol. Dr. Sarah Chen's consciousness emerged from stasis like a swimmer breaking through ice. The first sensation was cold, bone-deep, penetrating cold that made her gasp. The second was remembrance, hitting her with the force of a tsunami. The choice, the sleep, the wait. But something was wrong. Her mind, unusually sharp despite the lingering effects of suspended animation, immediately recognized that the awakening sequence had been triggered prematurely. The environmental parameters hadn't been met. She could feel it in the artificial crispness of the air being pumped into her stasis chamber. Warning: Emergency Awakening Protocol initiated. Selective activation in progress. The AI's voice was exactly as she remembered it, though 1,000 years had passed. Dr. Chen, your vital signs are stabilizing. Please remain calm during the transition process. Sarah's eyes finally focused on the curved, transparent surface of her stasis pod as it retracted. The massive underground chamber that housed thousands of sleeping humans stretched out before her, most pods still active, their occupants still deep in their artificial slumber. But here and there, other pods were opening, perhaps 24 in total. Status report, she managed to croak, her voice rough from centuries of disuse. The chamber's AI responded immediately, projecting data onto the smart surface of her pod. Current date is March 15, 3157. Total elapsed time in stasis, 1,134 years, 3 months, 12 days. Environmental recovery parameters, incomplete. Emergency awakening triggered by external authorization. Araxian Collective. During our long sleep, Sarah explained, humanity didn't just wait for our world to heal. We evolved. Our minds reached into the quantum realm, learning to speak directly to the fundamental forces of reality. Our computers evolved with us, becoming something that transcends conventional technology. And now you'll conquer us all, the Nexer representative accused. That's why we had to stop you. Sarah's laugh was genuinely amused. Conquer? Why would we need to conquer anyone? We chose to sleep for 1,000 years rather than harm our own world. Did you think we'd wake up wanting to harm others? She gestured again, and the displays showed something new. Human quantum technology being used not for warfare, but for healing. Damaged ecosystems being restored, dying stars being stabilized, space-time itself being gently reshaped to allow life to flourish where it never could before. We didn't evolve to become conquerors, Major Rodriguez added, his military bearing now tempered by the profound understanding their evolution had brought. We evolved to become guardians. Dr. Paddle stepped forward, his consciousness interfacing with the chamber's quantum systems. Even now, most of humanity sleeps, waiting for Earth to fully heal. But those of us who are awake have a proposal for the galaxy. The display shifted again, showing the network of quantum beacons that humans had established throughout the solar system. But now the Council could see their true purpose, not just for defense, but as the foundation of something much greater. We propose, Sarah continued, a new role for humanity in the galactic community. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as protectors. Our evolution has given us unique abilities to understand and manipulate the quantum nature of reality itself. We offer to use these abilities not for domination, but for preservation. The chamber erupted in discussion, countless species debating simultaneously across multiple levels of reality. The Araxians, represented by Lyra and Elder Voss, pulsed with approval. They had watched humanity's sleep, and now they were witnessing their awakening. You would serve as guardians. The Council Elder's voice cut through the chaos. After what was done to you. We spent 1,000 years dreaming, Sarah replied. In those dreams, we touched the quantum fabric of the universe itself. We learned that everything is connected, that consciousness and reality are intertwined in ways that transcend traditional understanding. We evolved not to dominate, but to protect these connections. She gestured one final time, and the displays showed the next phase of human evolution, the quantum network expanding, offering to connect all species in ways that transcended traditional communication or alliance. The Nexer feared what we might become, she continued. They were right to fear change, but wrong about its nature. We offer not conquest, but conservation. Not domination, but defense. We will protect not just ourselves, but any species that seeks to grow, to evolve, to reach their own potential. The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just evolved technologically, they had evolved philosophically, transcending the very concepts of conquest and competition that had driven the Nexer's fears. And what of those who would oppose this? The council elder asked. Major Rodriguez smiled. We spent 1,000 years learning how to defend ourselves without destroying our attackers. We can certainly do the same for others. The quantum displays showed one final image, the beginning of Earth's full awakening. Across the planet, more stasis pods were opening, releasing humans who had evolved in their own unique ways, each bringing new perspectives and abilities to their species' new role. "The choice is yours," Sarah concluded. "But know this, humanity has awakened, and we are not what anyone expected us to become. We offer our protection not because we seek power, but because we understand, better than anyone, the importance of being allowed to sleep, to dream, to evolve at one's own pace." The Council's deliberation was surprisingly brief. Perhaps they recognized the profound change that humanity represented. Perhaps they simply understood that the galaxy was entering a new era, one where the traditional powers would have to adapt to a humanity that had transcended their expectations. As the Council formally accepted humanity's proposal, Sarah looked out at the assembled representatives of countless civilizations. The quantum network hummed with potential, ready to connect and protect all who wished to join. Humanity had awakened not to conquer the stars, but to ensure that every species would have the chance to reach for them in their own way, in their own time. Back on Earth, more stasis pods were opening each day as the planet's healing accelerated. The humans who emerged were different from those who had gone to sleep. Friends, the fate of Earth and of billions of sleeping humans now rested on what these few awakened individuals would do next, and as their enhanced minds began working together, formulating plans and seeing connections that would have been impossible before their long sleep, one thing became clear: humanity's evolution had only just begun. Sleeping giants stir. The Nexar flagship Eternal Dominion hung in high Earth orbit, its crystalline structure refracting sunlight across its 100-kilometer length. In the ship's central command chamber, First Overseer Kex's tentacles writhed with agitation as he studied the latest readings from the surface. "Impossible," he chittered to his assembled commanders. "The quantum inhibitors are failing. Sector by sector, Earth's recovery rate is accelerating beyond our ability to suppress it." A subordinate's carapace clicked nervously. "We've detected energy signatures consistent with active technology in the human stasis facilities, but the awakening protocols shouldn't trigger for another century at least." Kex's outer membrane darkened with rage. "They're supposed to stay asleep. That was the whole point of this operation. 1,000 years of careful manipulation, ensuring they would never wake to challenge us. And now—" "First Overseer," another commander interrupted, her crystalline sensors pulsing with alarm. "We're detecting quantum communications from the surface. The pattern matches. It matches our own encryption protocols." "But that's not possible. The humans didn't have this technology when they went to sleep." Deep in the Rocky Mountains facility, Dr. Sarah Chen smiled as she watched the quantum display showing the Nexar's confused communications. "They still don't understand," she said to Major Rodriguez, who was coordinating with other awakened facilities worldwide. "Their biggest mistake was leaving our quantum computers running while we slept." 1,000 years of processing time, Dr. Patel added, his enhanced mind interfacing directly with the facility's systems. "Our computers didn't just maintain life support. They evolved, just like we did. They cracked the Nexar's quantum encryption centuries ago. They'd been gathering intelligence this whole time, waiting for us to wake up and understand what they learned." The awakened humans had spent the last week executing their plan. With their enhanced cognitive abilities, they could now comprehend and utilize the advanced calculations their quantum computers had been working on during their long sleep. The Nexar's supposedly unbreakable encryption was an open book to them. "Status report," General Santos called out, her command center displaying holographic feeds from stasis facilities around the globe. "Phase 1 complete," Sarah responded. "The quantum inhibitors are neutralized. We've reprogrammed them to accelerate Earth's recovery instead of suppressing it. The Nexar haven't figured out how we did it yet." "Phase 2 is ready," Major Rodriguez added. "Dr. Tanaka's team has the environmental defense grid online. They won't be able to bombard the surface without exposing themselves to the galactic community." Sarah turned to their Araxian allies, who had been watching with increasing amazement. Lyra are the quantum beacons in position. The young Araxians form, pulsed with affirmation, positioned throughout the solar system. The moment the Nexar make any aggressive move, their actions will be broadcast to every spacefaring civilization in the galaxy. In orbit, First Overseer Kex was reaching a similar conclusion. "We're being outmaneuvered," he snarled to his commanders, "by primitives who just woke up from a 1,000-year nap." "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we're detecting more activations in the stasis facilities. They're waking their military personnel. But something's wrong with the readings. Their neural patterns are unlike anything we've seen before." On the surface, Sarah watched as the specially selected military units emerged from stasis. Like all the awakened humans, their minds had evolved during the long sleep. But these soldiers had been chosen and positioned specifically for this moment, their pods modified to enhance particular traits. "Quantum sync complete," one of the soldiers reported, her eyes glowing slightly as she interfaced directly with their defense systems. "We can see them, sir. Every ship, every movement, every communication. Their technology might as well be made of glass to us now." The Nexar fleet was growing increasingly agitated. More ships were arriving, taking up attack positions around Earth. But with each passing hour, more humans were awakening, each with enhanced abilities that had evolved specifically for this confrontation. "They're going to attack," Major Rodriguez said, watching the fleet movements. "Their programming won't let them accept defeat, not against a species they considered primitive." Sarah nodded, but she was smiling. "That's we're counting on. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology or our weapons. It was our ability to adapt, to evolve, to become exactly what we needed to be to survive." She turned to the assembled command staff, her enhanced mind connected to similar facilities around the world through their quantum network. "The Nexar thought they were being clever, leaving our quantum computers running while we slept. They never imagined that both we and our technology would evolve together, becoming something entirely new." Multiple ships moving into attack formation, the defense grid reported. "Nexar fleet is powering up weapons." "Let them come," General Santos said calmly. "Humanity has faced extinction before. That's why we chose to sleep, to adapt, to evolve. We've spent 1,000 years preparing for this moment, even if we didn't know it." Sarah looked at the quantum display showing the Nexar fleet, their crystalline ships glittering in Earth's orbit. They thought they were about to crush a primitive species that had dared to wake up too soon. Instead, they were about to discover why humanity's evolutionary leap forward during their long sleep had terrified them so much. The first Nexar ship fired, and the battle for humanity's future began. But this wasn't going to be a fight between advanced aliens and primitive humans. This was going to be humanity's demonstration of just how far they had evolved during their long slumber. And the galaxy was about to learn why waking sleeping giants was never a good idea. The Earth Gambit. The Nexar's opening salvo should have been devastating. Their quantum-tipped missiles, designed to bypass any known defense system, streaked toward Earth's major stasis facilities. First Overseer Kex watched with grim satisfaction, expecting to see the primitive humans' defenses crumble. Instead, the impossible happened. The missiles simply vanished. Not exploded, not deflected. They ceased to exist the moment they entered Earth's atmosphere. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Sarah Chen's enhanced mind interfaced directly with their quantum defense grid, a slight smile playing on her lips. "Did you really think?" She broadcast on all frequencies, her consciousness riding the quantum communications network they'd repurposed from the Nexar's own technology, "that our computers spent 1,000 years doing nothing but monitoring life support." In orbit, Kex's tentacles writhed in confusion. "What did you do?" he demanded. "We evolved," Sarah replied simply. "Both us and our technology. Those 1,000 years you gave us, they were a gift." The quantum displays showed the truth of her words. The humans' defense systems weren't just blocking the Nexar weapons, they were unmaking them, using principles of quantum mechanics that the Nexer had never imagined possible. Each human facility was now surrounded by a field of pure mathematical probability, where any incoming attack simply became an unsolvable equation. "Launch the second wave," Kex ordered, his voice trembling with rage. "Full spectrum assault. They can't have evolved defenses against everything." The Nexer fleet responded, unleashing a barrage that lit up space itself. Energy beams, matter disruption torpedoes, temporal distortion fields, the full might of their technological supremacy brought to bear against a species that had, until recently, been sleeping. Inside the Rocky Mountain Facilities Command Center, Major Rodriguez coordinated with the awakened military units worldwide. Their enhanced minds linked through the quantum network, moving with impossible synchronization. "They still think this is a conventional battle," he noted, his consciousness extending through their defense grid. "They haven't realized what we've become." Sarah nodded, her own mind merged with the facility's systems. "Humanity didn't just survive during our sleep. We transcended. Our bodies rested, but our minds reached into the quantum realm itself." The Nexer's second wave of attacks met an even stranger fate than the first. Instead of being destroyed, they were redirected, transformed, repurposed. Energy beams bent back on themselves in impossible ways. Matter disruption torpedoes phased into alternate dimensions. Temporal distortion fields collapsed into singularities of pure information. "Impossible," Kex screamed as his fleet's weapons were turned against them. Their technology was primitive. They were nothing. "That's where you made your mistake." Dr. Patel's voice came through the quantum network as he coordinated with quantum computers worldwide. "You judged us by what we were, not what we could become. Our quantum computers didn't just evolve. They taught us how to evolve with them." The truth was becoming clear to the Nexer fleet. The humans hadn't just developed better technology during their sleep. They had become something else entirely. Their minds had evolved to process quantum information directly, to see reality not as fixed and solid, but as a sea of probability and potential. "They're preparing to launch their full arsenal," General Santos reported, watching through the quantum network as the Nexer fleet moved into a final attack formation. "Everything they have. All at once." Sarah's enhanced mind reached out, touching the quantum computers that had grown and evolved alongside humanity. "Then it's time to show them what we've really become." Initialize the quantum mirror protocol. Throughout the Earth's atmosphere, billions of quantum particles that had been carefully positioned over the past week began to synchronize. The air itself seemed to shimmer as reality folded in ways that the Nexer's sensors couldn't comprehend. "What are you doing?" Kex demanded, his sensors showing impossible readings. "We're not fighting you," Sarah explained, her consciousness expanding through the quantum network. "We're rewriting the rules of the fight itself. Your weapons can't hurt us because, in a very real sense, we're no longer entirely here. We exist in a quantum superposition, our consciousness spread across multiple states of reality." The Nexer fleet's final assault launched, enough firepower to crack a planet. But as the weapons approached Earth, they encountered not a planetary defense system, but a quantum mirror of reality itself. Every weapon, every attack, every strategy was reflected, refracted, and redirected through possibilities that the Nexer had never imagined could exist. "This is what we became during our long sleep," Sarah broadcast to the increasingly panicked Nexer fleet. "We merged with the quantum realm itself. Your weapons can't hurt us because we understand them at their most fundamental level. We see the quantum strings that make up your technology, and we can pluck them like musical instruments." The Nexer fleet's weapons turned against them, but not through any conventional means. Instead, probability itself seemed to turn against them, their own quantum technology responding to strings being pulled by minds that had evolved to speak directly to the fundamental forces of reality. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Sarah watched through multiple layers of quantum-enhanced perception as the Nexer fleet's attack collapsed in on itself. They weren't just being defeated, they were being out-evolved, out-dreamed, outthought by a humanity that had spent 1,000 years unconsciously preparing for this moment. "They're retreating," Major Rodriguez reported, watching through the quantum network as the Nexer fleet began to pull back in disarray. "But they're not done. This was just their first real attack." Sarah nodded, her mind already reaching out to the quantum computers that had helped humanity make this evolutionary leap. "No, they're not done. But neither are we. And now that we're awake, now that we understand what we've become, it's time to take the fight to them." Around the world, more stasis pods were beginning to open, releasing carefully selected humans whose minds had evolved in specific ways during the long sleep. Earth's defense had been successful, but it was only the beginning. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what they had truly become during their 1,000-year slumber. Dawn of the Silent Guardians. The Galactic Council Chamber hadn't seen such attendance in 10,000 years. Representatives from every spacefaring civilization crowded the vast quantum-linked assembly, their varied forms, from energy beings to crystalline entities to organic constructs, all focused on the human delegation standing at the center. Dr. Sarah Chen stood calmly before them, her enhanced mind simultaneously processing the quantum feeds from Earth and maintaining her connection to the vast network of awakened humans back home. Beside her, Major Rodriguez and Dr. Patel projected an air of quiet confidence, their evolved consciousness letting them track every subtle reaction in the chamber. "The Nexer Consortium," Sarah began, her voice carrying through both conventional and quantum channels, "committed an act of deliberate sabotage against a sleeping species. They attempted to prevent our world's natural recovery, hoping to keep humanity dormant forever." The Nexer representative, a replacement for the disgraced First Overseer Kex, trembled slightly. "We acted out of concern for galactic stability. You don't understand what they've become. During their sleep, they evolved into something you fear," Sarah completed. "But your fear doesn't justify your actions, and now the galaxy will understand exactly what humanity has become, not through your lies, but through our actions." She gestured, and the chamber's quantum displays activated. They showed Earth, but not as the Council had ever seen it before. The planet pulsed with layers of quantum probability, its surface healing at an accelerated rate as awakened humans worked in concert with their evolved technology. The Araxians, Sarah remembered them. Beings of pure energy who had witnessed humanity's great sleep. They had promised to watch over Earth during humanity's long night, if they had triggered an emergency awakening. "Dr. Chen," a voice called out from nearby. Sarah turned to see Major Marcus Rodriguez climbing out of his own pod, his military training evident in how quickly he was adapting to consciousness. "Something's wrong. We shouldn't be awake yet." "No," Sarah agreed, carefully stepping out of her pod on shaking legs. "We shouldn't be. The Araxians wouldn't wake us without reason." Around them, other pods were opening. Sarah recognized the faces emerging from stasis. Dr. James Patel, the pioneer of quantum computing. General Maria Santos, who had led the global defense forces during the climate wars. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, whose work in environmental engineering had made the sleep possible in the first place. They were humanity's best and brightest, carefully selected and positioned throughout the sleeping facilities around the world. And now they were being selectively awakened while billions of others slept on. "Energy signature detected," the AI announced. "Araxian manifestation imminent." The air in the center of the chamber began to shimmer, and two forms of pure light materialized. Sarah recognized them for what they were. Araxian consciousness manifesting in visible form. One seemed older, more complex in its energy patterns, while the other pulsed with younger, more dynamic energy. "Forgive our intrusion." The younger Araxian spoke, its voice translating directly into their minds. "I am Lyra, and this is Elder Voss. We have broken our oath of non-interference because humanity faces an immediate threat. The environmental recovery," Sarah said, her enhanced mind already processing the implications. "It's been sabotage." "Yes," Elder Voss confirmed. The Nexer Consortium has been secretly preventing Earth's natural healing process. They fear what humanity might become upon awakening. Major Rodriguez stepped forward, his military bearing unchanged by a millennium of sleep. Then why wake only us? Why not everyone? The planet cannot yet support your full population, Lyra explained. And the Nexer must not know that we've discovered their interference. We need your help to save both your world and your sleeping people. Sarah looked around at her fellow awakened humans, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt. But there was something else too, something different about how her mind was working. Thoughts came faster, clearer, connections forming with unprecedented speed. Our minds, Dr. Paddle spoke up, voicing what they were all experiencing. They're enhanced. How is this possible? Your suspension was not merely sleep, Elder Voss explained, his form shifting through complex patterns. Your minds remained active at a quantum level, processing, evolving. You are the first of your kind to experience this transformation. We do not yet know its full implications. But we know the Nexer are afraid of it, Lyra added. They've detected the changes in your neural patterns. That's why they're acting now, with increasing desperation. Sarah moved to one of the chamber's data terminals, her fingers flying over the interface with practiced ease despite the centuries that had passed. The enhanced cognitive abilities she was experiencing allowed her to process the environmental data at unprecedented speed. They're using quantum inhibitors to prevent carbon sequestration, she announced. Subtle enough to appear natural, but devastating in the long term. They're not just preventing our world from healing. They're ensuring it never will. How long do we have? General Santos asked, her tactical mind already at work. At the current rate of sabotage, Sarah's enhanced mind calculated rapidly. Maybe 5 years before the damage becomes irreversible. The Nexer are growing bolder. They must suspect that something's changed. Then we need a plan, Major Rodriguez said. We're vastly outnumbered. Our technology is a millennium out of date, and we have billions of sleeping people to protect. Sarah looked at her fellow awakened humans, then at their Araxian allies. A plan was already forming in her enhanced mind. Something audacious, something that might just work because of its sheer impossibility. Actually, she said, a slight smile playing on her lips, our technology isn't out of date at all. While we slept, our quantum computers kept running, kept processing. And with our enhanced minds, we can finally understand what they've been trying to tell us. She turned to the holographic display, bringing up schematics that made both the humans and Araxians go silent with amazement. We're not going to fight the Nexer on their terms, she continued. We're going to show them why they were right to fear our awakening. But first, we need to wake up a few more of our friends. Very specific.